guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about 10 epic champions that I think are just really underrated. I actually went through about, four. I went through four exactly tier lists out there, one on a website and three kind of YouTuber tier lists, which by the way, I love. So nothing against, I'm not even going to name the YouTubers, but nothing against anybody. I love kind of looking at tier lists. I think it's fun to kind of see how different people rank different champions. The problem is that it's so subjective, right? It depends on what you need on a team, and all of these champions, you know, our support champions, our control champions, our healers, our damage dealers, our single target. There's so many different areas, or they're specialists in one area. So again, it's just so subjective, guys. If there's one thing you should not do in this game, and this includes yours truly, right? Don't listen to a YouTuber when deciding which champion to upgrade next. We've said it for almost a year now here on the channel, over a year on the channel. Think about endgame viability. Think about what will help you in the here, in the now, and in how many areas you can use that champion, okay? So that should be the factors that you go by. And of course, you can find value with a ton of champions in this game that just aren't highly ranked. Today, we're gonna take a look at 10 of those champions. Before that, and more important matters, guys, I wanna go ahead and throw a question to you all, right? So, any good TV recommendations? This is serious stuff here because I can't find anything, man. Between TV and movies, I know this is the least of our global concerns given a pandemic happening right now, but with no TV really being made, at least not that much, and no movies really being made, I'm really struggling on the content. I'm watching pretty much all YouTube, right? Anyway, that's kind of my life right now, but I want to throw the question to you guys. Maybe there's something that I missed. What is, I don't know, your favorite series of all times? I love documentaries. I saw The Social Dilemma more recently, and then I saw the Joe Rogan podcast interview, like 3 hours with Tristan Harris, which was amazing. I totally encourage all of you guys watching to check out that interview. Just incredible video. I'll link it in the description below. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the champions that I have lined up for today. A week or two ago, I put out a video where I went over 10 epic champions that nobody ever talks about. I didn't want to double dip on any of those champions. So there's 10 amazing champions there. This is just, and I actually have kind of a system that I devised for this video, right? Where I took champions, these 10 champions, I looked and I made sure that they were outside the top 30 of at least 3 of the 4 sources that I kind of consulted when making this video. So these are champions that I feel are top 30 epic champions that most people rank outside the top 30. Again, just kind of proving my point here. And the first one I'm going to go with is going to be a high elf, and that is Battle Sage. Man, Battle Sage, I gotta give a shout out to Manable Gaming, another raid YouTuber. He was on a call with him. He's like, dude, why don't you have Battle Sage 6-star, man? Like, what the heck are you thinking, dude? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, she's one of the most popular champions for Platinum Arena, and I can totally see why. It's kind of like in hindsight being 2020, it's like, yeah, why didn't I use Battle Sage? Anyway, on the A1, she's an AoE attack, nice to have on the A1, especially if you have her in kind of a defensive-based team with a Valkyrie. Of course, she's more known to be on speed teams in the arena. You can really use her anywhere. She's a void champion. On the A2, has an increased attack buff on all allies that cannot be removed, and then removes all debuffs from all allies. Nature's Touch is on a 3-turn cooldown. This is fantastic, not just because of the increased attack that can't be removed, which is nice, but really removing all debuffs from all allies, a great skill to have. Great to have a cleanser on your team. On the A3, she places a Revive on Death buff on a target ally for 3 turns. The ally will instantly revive if killed. So that's what Revive on Death does, but really nice to have the full cleanse there, and then the Revive on Death on a target ally for 3 turns. I wish that buff couldn't be removed as well, right? That would make her even more crazy. But either way, Battle Sage is an incredible champion to have in terms of support champion. She also has Speed Aura in all battles by 19% if you're looking for a good speed lead for, say, dungeons or, you know, faction wars, whatever. So that is Battle Sage. I can't believe that people have her ranked outside the top 30. She's a tremendous epic support champion. Next up is going to be, speaking of tremendous epic support champions, let's go over to the Sacred Order and take a look at my girl, Hope. Man, Hope is insane. I see some people ranking her around 100. One list that I looked at had her around 100th epic in the game. Dude, are you crazy? Hope is a beast. On the A1, she has a 40% chance of placing a block buff debuff for 2 turns. Not bad to have on her sequester, her A1. On her A2, increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. And then places a shield buff equal to 25% of this champion's HP on all allies for 2 turns. Now you can book that shield up. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, but you have the increased buff duration and the shield on this champion, and based on her own HP, which is pretty high at almost 22,000 base HP, really nice to have. And then Holy Storm, she has a attack all enemies, and then a 75% chance of removing all buffs. A buff stripper on a champion as well. Hope is tremendous. I love having the chance to remove all buffs. Man, it's on a 3-turn cooldown. It is a 75%, not 100%, but still having the attack, the AoE attack, and all buff removal on the A3 with the really good shield and the buff extender on the A2. I mean, the buff extender, the shield, and the buff remover on the enemy team is all 3 just tremendous assets to have on your team. Hope is a really, really solid champion. I'm really excited to talk about her. I'm actually going to build her out. I'm so kind of high on this champion. I'm going to build her out and do a full guide on her. Look for that in the coming months here on the channel, guys. Just a big fan of this champion. I think we can go ahead and stay in sacred order here and talk about where the heck is... Okay, there she is. Mistress of Hymns. Mistress of Hymns is a champion that I think that a lot of people are divided on, right? I've seen some people say she sucks. I've seen people say, dude, everybody's sleeping on Mistress of Hymns. And I personally fall into that latter category. I think she's a tremendous support champion, guys. Let's take a look at her kit. 1 enemy heals the ally with the lowest HP by 15% of the damage inflicted. Nice to have that heal on the ally with the lowest HP on the A1. Very handy skill to have. And then Song of Triumph on her A2. It's a 3-turn cooldown, okay? Attacks 1 enemy, and then places a continuous heal buff on the 2 allies with the lowest HP for 2 turns if the attack is critical. So providing the attack is critical, which it does kind of suck to have to build her out with a 100% crit rate for a support champion, but still not bad, right? Places a big version of continuous heal on the 2 allies with the lowest HP for 2 turns. Really nice to have there as well. And of course, she has the revival. A very good revival at that. On a 5-turn cooldown, revives 2 random allies with 50% HP, and then, and this is the important thing, places a veil buff on them for 1 turn. The problem with a lot of revivals in the game is you'll revive champions, they'll have low HP, they'll be targeted on the enemy's next turn, and then they'll die, and then the revival was kind of worthless. But this is certainly not the case with the Hymn of Rebirth, this revival. Again, 2 allies, not 1, has 50% half HP, not bad, and then the veil on them as well for 1 turn on a 5-turn cooldown. So you get the nice heal on whoever needs it on the A1, you get 2 continuous heals on the A2 on a 3-turn cooldown, and then you get the 2 revivals on a 5-turn on the Hymn of Rebirth, and then allied defense in all battles by 25%. Again here, guys, this is noteworthy. A allied defense increase aura in all battles is very rare to see on a non-legendary champion. There's only a few champions, Tyrell, Sepulchre Sentinel, I believe, who have that. So definitely take advantage of that aura on this champion as well. That's Mistress of Hymns. Next up is going to be, so far, who do you like the best? Battle Sage, Hope, or Mistress of Hymns? The next one out of all 10 of these champions, guys, I don't know why I'm sweating, too much light in this room today, sorry. Out of all these champions, guys, this next one, I don't get it. I don't get it, man. The one I understand the least, and the one some of you guys are going to be like, nah, dude. Who has Vrask outside the top 50? Well, a few people do, man. Vrask is one of the best healers in the game, dude. He really is. And my Vrask is in a Relentless set. I know Relentless gear is tough to get, but if there's anybody to put in a Relentless set, it's Vrask. You're going to get continuous heals and extra turns equal more heals. This guy can heal like a freaking god, okay? Orc champion on his A1 fills his champion's turn meter by 20% if the attack is critical. Nice to have. His damage is based off HP. He has high HP at 23,000 plus. And then Lightning Strike, very simple. 3-turn cooldown, attacks 1 enemy, does an all right amount of damage. But here it is. Heals all allies by 10% of his max HP when he inflicts a critical hit. That's it, man. Cannibalism. Every single time he inflicts a critical hit, he's healing all allies, not one, everybody, by 10% of his max HP. So he's a simple champion to build. 100% crit rate, and then stack as much HP on this champion as you possibly can. And he has defense in dungeons by 33%. Just a tremendous support champion, guys. And then I guess, you know, 1A and 1B in terms of champions that I'm surprised people still rank low. And the next one is Skytouch Shaman. Skytouch, I finally unlocked her. She's one of my last epics to unlock actually on my account, and boy is she an absolute beast. I was actually watching 69 Boomer, another Raid Shadow Legends YouTuber, and she is on his main team, and this is a top 5 Platinum Arena finisher every week, and she is his top 4, you know, go-to champions in Platinum Tier Arena. Her along with Madame Saris are probably the 2 in Battle Sage, probably the 3 epics you see the most frequently in high-end arena, but she's not limited. Her versatility and her utility is not limited just to high-end Platinum Tier Arena, guys. Let's take a look at her kit. An AoE attack on her A1. So already starting with an AoE, heals by 15% of the damage inflicted if this champion has less than 50% HP. Boost the turn meter by 20% instead if she has more than 50% HP. On the A2, removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a revive on death buff, and then a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. So Immortal Skies essentially has Battle Sage's A2 and A3 kind of combined somewhat into one ability. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not on a 3-turn, which would be ideal, but still, what a way to start the battle if you don't go first in the arena. You strip away all your debuffs, you got a revive on death, and then you got to block debuffs, not for 1 turn like most block debuffs, for 2 turns. Immortal Skies, ladies and gentlemen. And then her Bloodstained Ritual is what I think turns a lot of people, myself included, the day they introduced her to the game, I was like, ooh, this sounds awful. And it is not good, but the rest of her kit is so insane, you know? Anyway, damages champion by 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. Heals all allies except this champion equal to half of the lost HP. So not bad to have that heal every turn, but it is bad to have the damage, plus the decreased speed buff on this champion for 1 turn at the start of each turn. Also has a 50% chance of placing a fear debuff on this champion for 1 turn. So that's the downside to Bloodstained Ritual, to her kit overall. Although, you know, at the end of the day, this ability makes it worth it. The Immortal Skies ability, and keep in mind again, the AoE attack on the A1 with the heal or the turn meter boost. She has ally HP in all battles by 25%. That is Skytouch Shaman. One champion that was not on my underrated list, but you guys know I'm a big fan of this dude, it's Basher. So Basher's a cool guy. I think a lot of people, I think the word is out. Scratch AK-47, another Raid YouTuber, put out a video on him, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and it kind of opened my eyes, maybe longer than that, to this champion being used in Arena, right? Especially Arena, but he's useful in dungeons as well. On the A1, he has the Weaken. On the A2, increases the cooldown of all target skills by 2 turns. That's great to have, right? Increase the cooldown of all of the target skills by 2 turns. A great control champion in Basher, guys. Definitely a guy that if you have, he's tough to get. He is a Void champion, but if you have him, definitely going to want to consider building him out. Build him in very, very high accuracy. He also does a decent amount of damage. Look at his base attack, almost 1,500. So keep that in mind as well. 4 times at random, has a 100% chance win both to placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns. Really nice to have the block buffs as well in his kit. So he brings a couple of things to the table, especially, again, arena focused, but even as kind of a utility champion, a control champion, nice to have as part of your team as well on any team. Next one is going to be in the Banner Lords section. I'm going to talk about a couple guys here. There's one dude in my comments every day. I see you, man. I forgot your name. My bad. But he's like, dude, bro, Ash, why no love for Seneschal? Why no love for this guy every day? And man, here it is. This is it. You're getting love. He's getting love right now. A champion I have not built out. He's on my list to do so, but a lot of you guys, not just that one dude in the comments, a lot of you guys have really good things to say about this champion. Pretty high base defense, decent base HP, 20k, just shy of 20k. Has a, this is important, the bloodied mace is A1. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a leech debuff for 2 turns. 2-turn leech on the A1 is a nice kind of small heal to add to his overall utility, and again, we'll come back to that A1 in a second. On his A2, plays a perfect veil buff and a 15% continuous heal buff on an ally for 2 turns. Granted, it's one ally, that's the bad news. The good news is, it's a perfect veil, and it's a strong version of continuous heal, and what's better, it's on a 2-turn cooldown. You gotta book this dude out. When you do book him out, Misdirect is a really, really sweet buff to have on a 2-turn cooldown. And then on his A3, Lordly Challenge. Place a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Has a 100% chance of placing a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. And again, I told you we come back to his A1. His A1, with the counterattack, he's going to be landing leeches left and right, and that damage is based off of defense first, and then scales off of attack after that. So Seneschal, a great champion overall, man. I mean, the 100% provoke on a 4-turn cooldown is nice to have. With the counterattack, lands a lot of leeches, heals up your allies, and then the perfect veil continuous heal every other turn on top of that. Really nice to have. All right, next up is going to be another Banner Lord. And did I have him on my underrated? I might have, guys. Seneschal and Warcaster. Both guys who no one had on their top 30. Warcaster was huge for me. I know he's not a new champion. A lot of people have talked about him, so I'll keep it quick. But he was huge for me in Bannerlords Factions 21 in terms of getting that 3 stars. He was the last champion that I kind of built out that helped that team progress. Has a 50% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from the target when booked. On his A2, it's an AoE attack. Has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Block buffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown is so valuable, not only for faction wars, but any dungeon you're struggling progression-wise, especially against all these Valkyries and Man-Eaters and crap in faction wars. Nice to not have to deal with any of those counterattacks and all those big shields and all that stuff, and who knows how much more useful this is going to be inside Doom Tower. Champions like Warcaster deserve a look. Has a block damage buff on all allies for 1 turn on a 4-turn cooldown on Invincible Aura. Some people just look at this ability and they think that that's the main part of his kit, and while it's nice, it's really the Sealing Strike, excuse me. And this one, don't really care about his aura. So that is Warcaster. Next one is going to be a Dark Elf champion, and it's going to be a guy that I really never talk about, and it's not Warden, it's not Delver, it's Fang Cleric. Fang Cleric. So he's a champion that, out of all these champions, I guess he's the one that probably would not be in my top 30, but I still think he's a great champion. On the A1, he's a support champion, has nice speed, okay defense, okay HP. Attacks 1 enemy, has a 100% chance when booked of transferring 1 random debuff from this champion onto the target. On the A2, on a 2-turn cooldown, heals an ally by 20% of this champion's max HP. Also fills the target's turn meter by 30% if they are fully healed by this skill. Places a veil buff on the target for 1 turn if they are not fully healed by this skill. Shadowy Blessing is a great heal because it's giving you a little bit extra depending on what you need. Again, if the target is not fully healed, you get the veil, which is useful, right? After a 20% heal based on his max HP, you build him out to have a lot of HP. Build him out in a shield set as well and put as much HP as you can. Great heals, great support with the shield as well, right? And then has the turn meter fill if they are fully healed. That way, hey, sometimes a healer, especially on a 2-turn cooldown, a good heal on a 2-turn cooldown, sometimes just nobody to heal. Everybody's healthy on your team, right? So he's at least getting that turn meter fill by 30% at the very least with this ability every 2 turns. And then Return to the Ranks is a really solid revival ability again. Revives a dead ally with 30% HP, fills their turn meter by 30%. Also places an unkillable buff on the target for 1 turn and a 15% continuous heal buff for 2 turns. That's a really big heal with 2 turns of 15% continuous heal. And then they have Unkillable for 1 turn to help those continuous heals go into effect. So Return to the Ranks is a great revival ability, guys. Kind of like Mistress of Hymns, it brings a little bit extra to the table, the heal and the Unkillable. So overall, I think Fang Cleric is a great support champion if you're lacking a good reviver with some healage as well that he's bringing to the table. And last but not least, it's going to be Undead Horde, and it is, boom, no. Actually, Zelata almost made the list. He should have made the list, but I noticed that two of the tier lists that I went by actually had him ranked top 30. So I don't want to cover a champion, technically that people already rank high. Actually, Catacomb Counselor was not ranked top 30, and this guy is very unique, being an epic champion that has an ally attack ability. So on the A1, has an increased attack buff on this champion, whatever. On the A2, attack 1 enemy 3 times, heals this champion by 20% of the damage inflicted, whatever. It's really all about Army of Death. His A3 on a 4-turn cooldown teams up with 3 random allies to attack a single enemy. The allies joining the attack will use their default skills. So kind of like Longbeard and Lanicus and Creela Witch Arm, Catacomb Counselor gives you guys a epic option of an ally attack ability. You can kind of build your own blender arena team around this champion. A little bit more niche, but cool to kind of give a nod to the epic ally attack guy out there, right, in Catacomb Counselor. And again, one thing to note though, his speed is low, his defense is pretty low, and his HP is low. So keep that into consideration. Luckily, he does that have that heal on the A2. He's the type of champion that you're just going to want to make sure you fortify the HP and the defense, and then add as much speed as you can to him, because of course, having this Army of Death go earlier, more often than not, is going to be beneficial to your entire team and your entire strategy when building a team around this champion. So guys, who did I leave out? What epic champion do you guys really love that nobody really talks about? What guy or gal do you want me to give a little bit of love to? I can build them out. I have almost every epic, so just let me know the name and eventually I will get to it, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed the content here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We just hit 50K. Thank you guys so much. I never thought I would have another YouTube channel that hit 50,000 subscribers, but I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity to make content on Raid every day and share it with you guys. Thank you so much, and as always, take care, guys.